Okay. Bojo, bojo, bojo. Medyo na ginwa. Medyo eshtigayak. Looks like you do quite a bit with it, actually. Looks like you do quite a bit with the coloring on it.
Yeah, it was really fun. There's a lot of colors on
You're
there
welcome to
too.
pull it out sometime and just play with it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, rock and roll.
I mean, if you get a table out where you can set
Yeah,
your
yeah,
stuff
I'll do
or
that.
You're
Or heck yeah, I'll do it. Rock and
You're
roll.
welcome. I mean, if that helps, like sketch ideas out.
Yeah,
thoughts.
it would. To have a whiteboard.
Yeah. The nice thing about it too is you can push this button and it all saves to right here.
Oh,
It's like-
my, that would be perfect. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna use that in a little bit.
I can't remember. There's a button that you push and it all will. I think you maybe do it right here. Maybe. It's a,
Ooh, and there's like a paint brushes too.
yeah,
It's
there's
not
different-
just like
yeah,
paint.
there's the bigger side and then there's the finer, really fine.
Really fine.
You get less fine. Yeah. Bojo, bojo. Need you not.
Namanoya, Bojo, Nijana.
Naman no. Bagaji yakwazayan. Winbisam get yodojopi. Nan godigan getchwa janagish get nedwindaman embayan. You know, on days like today when it's kind of drizzly outside and days like this, it's kind of like I want to just take a nap. A little bit tired, a little bit fatigued on kind of dark days like today. So today what I got, I think you guys will enjoy it. I got some common phrases, just a whole variety of stuff. I was looking online, some stuff I had written in the past. I wrote it back in just in time. So I wrote it back in like a couple of years ago, but you know, I've always got a few different ones I write over and over. And like, oh yeah, I thought I'll just search for common phrase, see what I got out there. And I was like, oh, here's a couple different documents. So this one was fun. This one had some enjoyable ones on here. There was even a few on here that I was like, oh yeah, I thought about that. So figure out. Now I guess it's really fine. And this actually might be. The way
Sorry,
to go.
I did that.
No, but this actually might be the way to go. I think because it might make my handwriting clear. Sometimes I get a little
Everyone
slow.
online, can you guys see it?
Yeah, you those of you online, can you see my handwriting up here?
Or should-
No, I just see your name.
Oh, okay. My computer.
Yeah.
Time out. My camera's not on.
Oh.
Good to
If I really
know.
can't see it.
How about now? Be very close.
There we go.
How about this fine kind of color? Visible to you guys?
Yes, I can see it.
Not too fine, perhaps. I just
Let
trying
me
to.
see what's going on here.
The option would be
You can make it
that
like,
one. Or what I usually I think use is this,
yeah, that might be best.
but this one sometimes get a little smudgy. So I'm gonna try this medium one maybe here today.
Happy medium.
Happy medium. Okay, let's see. Wet media. Weknija wa pupunya we see. Weknija wa pupunya. So, what is Weknija? What? And what is wa? Future, but there, now, one thing I don't emphasize enough sometimes is it also is a desire. It's the future, but it's also something like that you want to do. Because you're going to do it, since you want to do it. So it's like, so it's a desire to do something. So, and it's the future. More often than not, I really just usually say the future. That's really what it is. But also the future can indicate something that you're going to do, something that you hence you want to do. Maybe not always we do things that we want to do. So Weknija wa konya wisnian.
Dinner.
And there's the yin. You. And like somebody just said, pokonyawisne is supper or dinner. Actually, this is confusing to me in English when people say supper or dinner. Just it depends where you're from, but like I always call dinner like that 5 o'clock meal, but then you got some people that call that supper, or they call supper lunch. Like noon meal being supper. So I don't know. I get
Oh, I
confused.
haven't heard that.
You never heard that? Maybe it's just the strange places I grew
I
up.
always felt like it was like supper if you were like making like hamburger helper, but it was dinner if you're making like.
Yeah, that's how
Okay,
I
so
learned it.
dinner was like a fine meal.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
was
thought-
say,
For me, it was typically like interchangeable with supper or dinner being the evening meal, unless it was like Sunday after church dinner.
See, and that's how it was. That's how it's for me. Usually supper, dinner, the same thing. But I tend to say dinner more than I say supper. Anyway, that's an English thing. Magnesia pukonyawisne. So what do you want? What do you want for dinner? Or what do you want to eat for supper? So if you think about the way it translates, so what are you going to eat for supper? What do you want for supper? Same kind of thing. Magnesia pukonyawisne. What do you want for supper? What are you going to eat for supper? Now, one of you used this particular word a minute ago, so you probably can understand what this means. Gimanoyene. Gimanoyene. What's saying here? The noye is another way to say what? Hopefully that person's still there because when they greeted me, they said Nimanoye. And I was like, okay.
Yay is location, right?
Yes, but not with this one per se. Usually you're right. Usually that would be 100% right on. And I guess you could kind of think of it like that a little bit. Too. But no, yeah,
Were you in a good place today?
You good?
like good. Are you okay? Yeah.
Good?
So you okay? And then I guess if you translate it in a place, it still makes sense. Are you in a good place today? Are you good?
Like a
Makes
t-shirt.
sense.
I could see that making the same thing. So the question, because what I was thinking about was if, in English lessons, you'll say, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?
You good?
You good? You doing okay?
That's what I'm thinking.
Give me no
like, you
yeah.
good?
Give me no yeah now. Are you good? Are you in a good place? Give me no yeah now. So if you want to answer yes, you would say, never know yeah, or gonna get, never know yeah. Good.
Is this, did you think or did you remember?
You think?
So how would that be in the past, do you think?
You did think? What did you think? No,
Did you think?
hello.
Were you thinking?
Were you thinking?
Oh, okay.
Were you thinking? Back of a Gaginendumne.
Oh, yeah.
But Wamshe came before you did that? Were you thinking? Gaginendumne.
Okay.
Were you thinking?
That's cool.
So. That's some funny ones on there. Except I pulled this old sheet off the server, something I'd done. But that's okay. This guy's pretty good. Da nijok magene gezibin geben. Let's look at the front end where we can figure out this. So the doc.
I should.
I should or I could. And then what's this telling us?
Question.
Question. Jokmage, Gzin bin Gewin. What is this wind probably telling us about this? No, it's a thought.
Is this talking about water?
Yeah, I mean, in a very some kind of a way, yeah.
Talking about what?
She said water. I mean, you're not wrong, but but we're not like talking about like
That's
going-
not what you're talking about.
we're not really going like swimming or something. That's not-
Got you.
But you'll see when I tell you what it is.
That's what I,
You'll see what I mean. Yep, because you're seeing this ZB,
Yes.
right? That's what you're seeing. I understand that. Gezibin gay. Gezibin gay is the verb to wash clothes.
okay.
So when you put the win on it, it's like laundry or washing. This win is just making it into a noun. So gezibin gay is to wash clothes.
Ooh, that's the tongue twister.
Gezibin gay. Yeah, gezibin gay. Wash clothes. So, and then when I put this win on, it means like the act of washing clothes, like, so laundry. Washing clothes. So, ndani jokmagene gezibin gewet. Can I help with laundry?
Mm.
Can I help with laundry? So I'm saying I could help. Questions? Could I help or should I help with laundry? Ndani jokmagene gezibin gewet. Ndani jokmagene gezibin gewet. Should I help with laundry or help with clothes? Help with washing? But you're right. That's what I meant by when you said it's water involved. I was like, well, yeah.
Well, that's how
But
that's
you're
how
right,
I'm
though.
learning this language
And
is the
but
root.
that's true though. I mean, a lot of times when you see a B inside something like B or a BS, sometimes it has to do with water. Like jikbiek, by the water, shobiege, drunk. It's got that B in there. But you know,
Where's this talk about the clothes?
it's just
Is it just the verb?
washing. It's just the
Oh,
verb to wash clothes.
washing.
To wash clothes. It's just the verb to wash clothes. I mean, the clothing. I don't know if I don't know how to break that out. Of that.
Got it.
Just I've always just accepted it as the verb to wash clothes. But
We didn't ask questions.
well, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to ask questions. I just didn't have to ask a question about this particular verb.
Uh-huh.
So I just had to. I mean, maybe you could say like this part of it is, but I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't guarantee that. I mean, if you say like Miguel sometimes can mean like to like clothe somebody.
Mm,
So maybe. But that's true.
it's good, Rebecca.
Okay, good one, good one. Should I help with laundry? Should I help with laundry? This is a funny one. Y'all get a kick of this one. Now it's fun. Maybe, or maybe you'll be like, what? I sometimes think that when I write something, I'm thinking, do they really know what I'm thinking in my mind? I'll find out in a second. This should be fun. Mishkosen med meno mostonen vito iguani zidessen. Mishkosen med meno mostonen vito iguani zidessen. Now, anybody out there in Tazom Kakosuk have any idea what this might be? Got any of these words in here? Okay. So we'll start with the easiest one, perhaps.
Good.
Good. No, that's something that's good. Next easiest one, maybe this without the plural. Zides. Zides.
Toes.
Toes. So there's one toe. Then. Toes. The Ian. Okay. Something about your toes. Something good. What about mishkos? This is plural of it.
Yeah. Mishko sounds like I should know it.
You probably know wishkamishkos. You probably heard that one.
You're talking about grass?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
okay. Grass.
one, Mishkos is technically just like
One blade of grass.
So
and
this would be
mishkos,
grass, a bunch of grass. So
Uh.
grass, plural. De menomostonen, bito iguani zedessen.
Ito,
What is
In
that, bito?
in between.
In between.
Ito gishwagon, pie,
Uh-huh. This iguan just means like a certain area, like a
a
direction.
lot of it.
In between, so bito iguan. Okay, we're getting really close to it now. Now, this is a verb, moston. Anybody know what that verb might be? And then this is a VTI verb,
I forget this one every time.
and this is the plural of it. So it's
Oh, it's a tia?
feel.
Yeah.
So the grass feels good between my toes.
Okay. Good girl.
So mishkosen, the grass. I feel it good. It feels good to me. Bito iguan between, I guess because of my toes. So that's my toes. The grass feels good between my toes. And then the knee just means, so that's your demonstrative that you have to mark it with. So mishkosen de menomostonen bito iguan ni zedessen. So the grass feels good between my toes.
What about the knee again? Sorry, could you repeat?
That's your demonstrative. It means like those toes. It just marks, you always
Got it.
have that in front of your, like your O, Mako, E, Dopo, that table.
Okay,
But that's plural, so it's inanimate plural, so it's like those toes.
got it.
So the
got it.
grass feels good between my toes. It's wild on that. Just roll with it on
What
there.
did you put in parentheses before toes?
An in for like my toes. I forgot to put my
Zedessen.
toes. I forgot my my.
Zedessen.
I put it in like that. Very ugly looking in. My toes. So the grass feels good between my toes. Okay. Switch it to- I'll change the colors here. Can't stick with the color forever. Throw a couple of group ones this time.
What is a knee again? I didn't get that one on the last one.
Those,
Those.
something inanimate. I don't think I wrote it. I just said it. Inanimate. Bindon ni mizi gumgong. And then Yigabe, Bian Shoda, what is Yopi? Gadao Yabdene. Kizi Yabe. Anybody recognize any of these words? Hopefully the middle one, hopefully everybody kind of recognizes some of that.
The middle one looks like, boy, come here right now to me.
That's exactly what it is. That is what that is. Boy, come here right now.
And brush your teeth at the bottom there.
Yep. See? That's in a command form. The verb itself is z ya bidet. Oh, that's the verb to brush your teeth. When you put an in on it, you're telling one person do it. Go so z ya bidet, brush your teeth, and then boy, come here right now. Good. What about bing don eat ni mizi gumgong?
Mizi is a bathroom? Mizi gum gum?
Yeah, you're correct. About what about this gumgong?
Gum gone.
Bathrooms. Plural. Mizi gumgong. Bathrooms, plural.
Mizi gum gum. bathroom.
Mizi gamuk, mizi gumgok at the bathroom, mizi gumgong bathrooms. What about being done?
Is it another word for clean?
Yep. Clean it. Or clean them. Clean. So what you're saying is clean it. Clean those bathrooms. The verb is being known to clean it. Being shige is the other one you guys are used to. Being shige just means clean in general. Being done cleans something. This is your VTI verb. In a command form with this one, it's just being done. So saying one person clean it or them. Being done me mizi gum goal. So clean the bathrooms, like you said. What about this last one? Gedao yabadene. I also could have said this. You may have heard this one a little bit more. Kikich yabadene. Yabadene. So we know it's a question. You can see this yabade on here. This was brush your teeth.
So did you brush your hair? No.
No, but that's an interesting thought.
Did you?
This is like, this is like the teeth part. So do your teeth ache? Ache.
Huh.
You can either add this dow on the front talking about aching, or you can say like kikich, like they hurt. That's why I threw this on kikich. I use kikich a lot. Like I'm saying, oh, kikich pakwane, my back aches, it hurts. Kikich pakwane. Or you can say dow yabade, or well, teeth. You could say dow pakwane, my back is sore. Dow. It's kind of like, I think it comes from like, it might come from like dow que. Actually, that's probably where that word comes from. I think about it. Dao que, if I say Dao que, it means I have a headache. But what you're literally saying here is this is aches. And this que part here, again, que is not always woman. This part is talking about like your face or your head. Yeah. So it's like your face or your head aches. Dao que. I have a headache. Oh, Dao que. Yeah. That's why I always, people, whenever somebody says, oh, I see a que, it's got to be something with woman. Well, no, it doesn't. there's manaque, there's dao que, there's, what's that one word? I always say, don't say it. Oh, oque. What is oque? I forgot what it means. But I always say, don't say it too fast. It's maggot. Oque, but not like this. That's why not like but it's like part of the word. Oque. So I always say maybe leave a little separation when you say Wenisia oque. Make sure you don't say Wenisia oque too fast. I mean, no one's gonna think you're saying that because most people aren't gonna know the word for maggot, but obviously that has nothing to do with women as well. Oque, like maggot.
That's weird.
But the word oque means a maggot, like. So. But manaque is to drink. Interesting thing though, there's really, I mean, nene, like man, you don't see that as often like inside of some of these other words, but you do see like knee part indicating like mankind. Like if you say like Shishibani, duck people, that's like that D part is kind of like it's like a people with mankind. Kinda
So
like-
you would say like Shishibani endow?
Yeah, you could say Shishibani Ndao, or you could say Shishibani Ndabendagwas. I'm enrolled in the Bendagwas.
Oh,
I'll
how
give
do
you
you
those.
spell that?
I'll give you those 2 words. There. So you could say. Now, so some thought on there. You could say. Yeah. Bendagwas means I'm enrolled. And if you're talking about the whole tribe, it's saying like all citizens follow me, like Shishibaniak. Talking about the tribe as a whole, Shishibaniak. So Shishibani Ndao, the citizen follow me. Shishibani Ndabendagwas, I'm an old citizen follow me. And different groups, they have the same kind of me inside of theirs. Like when you say Forest County follow me, it's Sin. Kasinyani, northern people basically, Kasinyani. Machipaneshi is Gun Lake. That's like. Yeah, you're right. Ish. That dang bad bird is what it means.
Really?
Machipaneshiwish. So that's what Gun Lake, their name is literally means, because it was their leader from that group. His name was that dang bad bird. Machipaneshi. Machipaneshiwish. Niak.
Magi is bad.
Well, what
It could be bad.
Midgie bad, but it moves over.
Okay.
Midgie like Midgie mods it, like a bad person.
Say
Magi,
Magi Jigabe for like bad boy.
Yeah, you can say Midgie. Bad boy. Hopefully more good boys than bad boys, but yeah.
Not in
Midgie.
my house.
Yeah, that's just it just kind of moves over when it's a name like that. Mechipaneshi Weshnia. Like Prairie Band, they're the school. Danny, prairie people. Shkode means fire, but Mishkode means prairie. It's that
Prairie.
burnt over place.
Oh, right.
Mishkode. And so the neat part is like the people that are. So Shkodani Yak would be plural for them. Nadawasipi is how you say Huron Potawatomis. It's like nod way. I haven't spelled it today, but nod way. I think this is kind of how they're spelling it today. But Nodaway, CB, Niyak, CB, like Zebak, River, Nodaway, Rattlesnake River. It's like the river that's by where they're. It also means Huron, actually. Nodaway can also mean like Huron.
Like lake, the lake.
Huron River people, Nodaway CB.
What about
Not
that
a
one
CPU.
that says like on their seal, it's like Mach.
Mach.
That's Gun Lake.
Oh, okay.
That's it right there.
What's that Mach? Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah. That danged bad bird is what it means. That was their leader. Like
Oh,
their
that's
big
cool.
leader, yeah. That dang, and they have heard them say it, it's those dang bad birds.
Where have I been? Where's the Jayjok Foundation?
That's in Machu Picchu.
Okay, that's where I
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that's where Gun Lake's
Okay.
at. That's where they're. They used to. I don't know if it's still around anymore. I think it might have actually shut down, but it was a nonprofit, and they had that beautiful wigwam up there. They had that maple syruping area up there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't go there. But we did go into the language department. That was like a double wide trailer.
They've advanced since then probably because I mean it was a. I don't know how long ago you went because they actually got federal recognition I believe in 1992 So of all the groups, and then let's see, I think the Hurons got federal recognition in 1996, and then Pokaginiak.
Yep.
That's crazy though, it's like in our lifetime, you know?
1992.
I was born 98.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
1992 is when, I believe, is the year Pokagon got federal recognition. And it's not that they weren't trying to get it for a long time, they just, I mean, some of these groups have been vying for federal recognition for 100
Long time.
years. Yeah, but they just,
Yeah, the Dunlane tribe had a huge casino and like the other place we went, it was all nice, big, huge
Yeah.
stuff, but there.
well, that's just it. I mean, each of these groups has
Yeah.
over time now they've grown, you know, so like the stuff that you see in Gun Lake today from like back then, they've got a really big casino now. Huron's got like a second tower, I think, to their casino. So they got a second hotel. Pokagon's got a couple locations now. They used to have, they've got one in South Bend, Indiana now. They've also got one in Dowagiac. It's their main headquarters. I think they have one out in Niles.
They actually have 4.
Okay, you guys-
The Wajak,
yeah.
South Bend, New Buffalo, and I don't remember the other one, but I think they've got the South Bend Hotel finished now too.
Yeah, that's kind of a new one there.
The Wajiak sounds like,
It is a phone word.
what is it?
Oh,
Yeah,
you would
we
have to ask.
opened South
Well,
Bend
you can get back.
January 16th of 2018.
Yeah, because that South Bend thing is pretty new. Which is interesting because that's where my ancestors are buried in South Bend. Their house, Pierre Navarre's cabin is right there, and that's him and his wife are both buried in the cemetery there at Notre Dame. But anyways, just why. But yeah, so any of these groups, though, a lot of times you'll have this knee. A lot of times at the end of it, where it kind of indicates like the people of something. Wasaksing Niuk would be like Wasaksing people. Bakejwanong is Walpole Island. Let's see, Bakej. Bakejwanong, theirs is spelled a little bit more the way you would spell Ojibwa, but what it literally means is it's the people where the waters divide.
Yeah, that
Bakej,
OG.
Jawen, how we say like water kind of splitting off. So it's the people where the waters divide. Bakejwanong, Walpole Island. It's really pretty up there. But
I know, I wish the gathering was there this year,
it was there
2 years ago.
Couple years
Last time
back.
I had it,
last year. It was in Canada. Last time they had it was in Canada. It was in Wisconsin, which was even further up into Canada. Hannibal's where it's at this time, and Hannibal's a very pretty place too.
What's after Hannibal?
Maybe Huron, because originally Hannibal had acted like they were just, since they held it 2 years, they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna pass. I don't want to mess it up any longer." But the next group kind of hosted. We'll catch it like next time around because every 8 years it comes around anyway. And they were gonna pass it on to Huron, so I'm guessing Huron's probably the next spot after. There's a period of time, a lot of times, where it stays kind of there in Michigan area for a little while, and then I think it goes back down to Prairie Bay. And it'll be down here eventually again.
It's been a while.
It's been a little
though,
while
hasn't it?
since because of
It was like
COVID.
2016, 2017, I think, that it was here.
I can't remember the last time I was down here. Was
Something like that. Right?
Yeah, something like that.
I was there, but I don't remember.
You're there, but you're busy.
Yeah, there was stuff going on. I don't know. I've been there. I've been to every gathering since 2000, so that's cool. Yeah, they're always a good time, and you get to see folks from different areas and reacquaint yourself with them. And it's nice to see what other areas kind of have going on for the people. Anyway, I'm getting caught in this whole 100 door bill. No, we're going to take off this way. I went down a tangent. So I'm going to kind of come back here to some of these little phrases I have. This will go.
How you like this?
I just want to see if anybody figures out what I'm trying to say. Gesehen, gedie, skabi webnen I mizi jigen, gesehen ninjin, bawamshe ewisniak. I get any of these? I think it's because I had that mizi gum.
Wash your hands before you eat.
That last one is wash your hands before you eat.
Okay.
Gizi ninjin, bawamshe ewisniak. So, well, actually, you wash your hands before we eat. Wash your hands before we eat. What about these other ones? Anybody know?
Is the Mrs. Jagan like paper book magazine?
That's Mazenigan. That's actually cool. I can see why you think
Okay.
that. This is more like that. Measy.
The bathroom. Toilet.
Nobody? No takers?
And then E is like the demonstrative.
Yeah, so that's your like that or demonstrative.
That. Scotty
Demonstrative.
Webnon.
Eh,
The Diaz bottom. Your bottom.
Your bottom. Okay, question. This here is, did you wipe?
Oh my gosh.
Gesehen, gedie, did you wipe your bottom? Gesehen, gedie. Now, I won't tell you how many times, you would think this is an unlogical sentence that you would never have to say, but I can't tell you how many times I've had to say this to my kids. Like when they go in, they're gone. Like, did you wipe? Wash your hands. Skabi webnen. Flush it. Flush that toilet. Skabi webnen. So you're saying flush it. You're telling them flush the toilet. Skabi webnen. I yell that at my kids almost every single day. And I don't even care. Like even you think that after a while they would be like, okay, cool, but I always 10-year-olds, Skabi webnen. You know, it's like they'll just be like, oh, I'm out. I'm like, no, flush
They're
the
just giving you
toilet.
water.
And I'm like, yeah, maybe they're just being economic. Yeah.
They're conservative.
Conservative. They're conserving water. I don't know. Maybe I'd like to believe that's what their thought process is, but I'm just like, come on now. Skabi webnen. So the verb itself is skabi web non. Okay. But when you're commanding it, you're telling it becomes skabi webnen. So I rarely say skabi web non. Usually I'm telling somebody. Skabi webnen. Flush toilet. Skabi. Skabi is interesting too, though. It can even be, again, if you look at this, remember what you were saying about, oh, she's not looking. Remember what you were saying about this right here? Beef.
Water.
Yeah. If you say like Skabin, mean like it drains out. Skabin it drains out. It's like liquid. It's like maybe the pond drained up or ran out water, drained out water. Skabin get it drained out. Okay, Skabi webnen. Gesehen, gedie, Skabi webnen I mizi jigen. Gesinen bawamshe ewisniak. Gotwatso de bagassen. Gonna bitch. 5 seconds. What's the magic? I don't know, it's 8, 10 seconds. They tell you wash your hands for. There's a thing they tell
literally
me.
30 seconds to a minute.
Okay, well.
It's like 10 seconds.
Well, there's a number though. It's a magic number that always tell people. Like, oh, wash your hands for like that's what they tell kids. Wash your hands
Right.
for,
I thought it was
15
30
seconds.
seconds.
It's
Okay.
30 seconds.
and
Yeah.
it's 30. Okay, so opta or so swabtuk de bagassen 30 seconds. Oh, shit. Ebon diet. Stop.
You need a song for them to sing to wash their hands.
Washing your
that's
hands.
actually
Song?
smart.
Maybe, yeah. Like they have to sing it a certain amount of time. That's a good idea. Yeah. That'll be for you, dude.
Ajá.
Chique como se want.
I knew you were gonna say it.
Dang, you added like 2,000 words to the dictionary.
I've been.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off. You
I've
get
been
back
getting
to-
wild. Because
Yeah.
what it is that
I
I've been
just
working on
saw
that. I've been
that.
working on that.
You're
that
so wild.
I've been getting with that, working on that Woolaroo thing I was telling you all about. And as I was doing that, I was like, okay, this is how, okay, I never really thought about the word for whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, well, I might as well add that to the dictionary. It's a solid word, you know? Because that Woolaroo, it's a program with Google I've been working on. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's supposed to come out here in the next couple of months. It's kind of like
I can't wait.
I guess it's a word for something that's brand new, exploratory. It's not exploratory, it's
In beta.
beta. That's what I'm looking for.
Beta,
That's the
yeah.
word I was trying to say in English. Beta. I was gonna say get something new. I couldn't think of the word in English. Beta. So it's a beta thing, and what it basically is, it's called Woolaroo, and it's supposed to be able to take, like, I think it's with the app, and you like take a picture with your phone, like of a tree, okay, and it'll be able to be like, oh, that's a tree. It'll be like tuck, basically, because that's one of, basically it takes the 1,000, like 1,200, I think it's 1,200 most Googled terms. It's Google.
Right.
And so it takes those terms, and then when you put it on it, it says, oh, that's a table, that's a chair, that's a person, you know, that's a whatever. But, and then it's supposed to then say the word. So as soon as I finish this whole list, then I got to auto record the whole thing. So that'll take a little bit of time too, but hey, it should be fun. And like I said, there's only about 4, maybe 5 languages that are going to be part of the beta test. And we're one of them, Potawatomi, so that's pretty cool. And it's wild, like I said, how they reached out to me. They were just like, I guess they read Robin Kimmer's book about braiding sweetgrass, and maybe like the one paragraph where she talks about me, and we're like, oh yeah, we should reach out to that guy and see about language. Okay. And that's how things happen. So gete mwaka okwe. Gete mwaka okwe.
Uh-huh.
Something that woman.
And that's something that woman. Gete.
Is it old?
It is sometimes. This
Old,
is, that actually is not
farm.
wrong, but there's another word. It means more than just old, it means also.
Grow.
Do what?
Grow. Get big on the place where things grow. Get big.
Okay, yeah.
I was thinking get Jane McDonald.
Yeah,
Old
yeah, yeah,
McDonald.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It has a couple of meanings. It can mean old, usually in this sense, or it can also mean true or real.
Or
Real, true,
like really also.
old is an alternative meaning. So gete, which is funny now that you mentioned that, because I hadn't thought about it that way. I was thinking from the real. So gete mbwaka okwe. That woman is really smart. Truly smart.
Uh-huh.
Gete mbwaka, smart or wise. Mbwaka is kind of the simplified form of this. You can also, the more, I guess, longer form of that, you can say mbwaka. Cow say he or she is smart. That's kind of the longer form. You tend to see this form a lot more in Kansas, just the Mwaka versus Mwakawas. But they both work for smart, wise. So she's really or truly smart, that woman. Doden e Gascon Mik Chewy what? Do you have any idea what that might be?
Something about work.
Okay.
Building.
Is your heel?
That is one meaning of Doden. But this is actually a command form of
quiet?
Dodan.
Oh, okay.
Of what?
Dodan is the
Dodan.
verb.
Oh.
So this is the command form that do it.
Okay.
E Gascon Mikchuin. What is that? Do that. Gascon Mikchuin. You got the work part, right? So what's scone here?
School.
Comes from the verb scono.
School.
Yep.
Schoolwork.
Schoolwork.
So is the G for that your?
Yep. Yours or you. Yours. I put you. Yours. Yeah. So your. So do your schoolwork. Doden e Gascon Mikchuin. Do your schoolwork. Do your homework. Doden e Gascon Mikchuin. Dodan is the verb to do it. Okay. Dodon. Dod ma. Do something animate or do something to someone. And then Zhitske is the one we're used to seeing the most of. That's just do whatever. Just do. So this is your basic VAI one right here. And at VTI it changes. Dodon and then Dodma. I think it's interesting that you mentioned heel because yeah, that is heel actually is
That's
that
the only
word
way I
also.
learned that so
That's
far.
how that word, the heel is that word right there. The command form of Dodon is the same as heel. Yeah. But that's one of those ones you're not going to confuse the situation.
Right, it's
I mean,
contextual.
It's very contextual. And that's any of those words,
why I was
any
like-
of those words where you have a couple of them that are similar, you're not going to mistake them in that
Right.
situation. I mean, somebody's got their shoe
That's
off
why I
and they're
was
doing
really
like this.
confused
You're
by
gonna be
that,
like, oh, Dodon in my heel. Yeah. But I'm glad you grabbed that one. That's good. Get in.
Really?
Really? Really?
Then
Really? No question. Oh, I didn't finish what I said. Jigwek Bamosewat.
The thunders are walking outside
Yeah.
today. No, outside.
Outside.
uh-huh.
Yeah, thunders are walking outside. Jigwek Bamosewat, it's an old saying for just talking about when you hear those thunders. You know, just saying, hey, the thunders, they're walking. Jigwek Bamosewat. This is the walking part, and this is the they, and then Zagich outside. I just threw Zagich on there. Jigwek Bamosewat Zagich. The thunders are walking outside. So, and if you want to just say like it's thundering outside, you can say Jigwek, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, Jigwek, yeah, it's thundering.
That y'all, is it
I think it's
is it singular to that word or is it used as
no, it's
a
used another. You see it on other words. A lot of VII
Kissimmee,
verbs. Kisinya. I mean, you see it on a lot of weather terms, but you see it on a lot of wow, yeah,
Oh, uh-huh.
a lot of VII type verbs.
Kisinya could just be it's cold.
Yeah, Kisinya by itself
Yeah,
could be cold, yep. Or you can throw the baguette with it. Kisinya, get.
It's cold out.
Not
Outside.
just both it is cold.
Oh, really? What does it get? Is it just
Just
a...
means it is. It's just an alternative way of
Oh,
saying it.
okay, okay.
So a lot of times we just like
I always
what
think
I've done with the kids a lot of times in the past is not taught them the baguette form because gajate sounds like a cuss word when you put the baguette with it. Gajate get.
the shut
Gajate
down,
get. That means it's hot. You can just say gajate, it means the same thing. Gajate get. Kisinya get means the same thing. It's either or, the baguette or without the baguette. Now with weather, you're only going to have it is. There's no pluralization. You can't say they're cold the weather because it's talking about the weather actually causing it.
Isn't it a
I'll
verb?
show you something real quick. Well, this will make it clear. You just flip page over. So, Kisinya. I probably should have wrote red. I feel like red's the wrong color for cold. Kisinya or
Change it to blue.
maybe. I just don't like red. Red's like makes me think of hot. Red hot. Perception, I suppose. Kisinya or Kisin get. Same thing. But there's not a plural of this. If you start talking about things that are cold, like something in the house, you change verbs. You go to kidam. So, or the kidam get. That means it's cold or it's cool.
So Kisinya's only good for weather.
Only good for weather. Same with gajate. Gajate is only good for weather. Because with this one, tekede, you can make it plural. You could say they're cold. Say tekede. No. They are cold. But you can get real specific with a lot of these. If you understand how to manipulate, you can say like, hey, oh yeah. Cold beverage,
Or
cold liquid. Cold liquid. And that could even be like your soup. I mean, your soup could get cold, whatever.
So is it a verb?
Yeah, to be
Okay.
cold.
Got it.
These are verbs, yeah.
That's what I figured too. Same with like colors, like
But
it is what it is.
But they're all VII verbs.
Got it.
Which are just like, a lot of times they're considered adjectives in English a lot of times. But yeah, the ones about weather, they only work for weather. That's why there's not a plural of it. You can't pluralize weather. It can't be like,
Right.
it's hot. It's hot. They're hot. They're hot. What do you mean? The weather, they're outside, they're hot. No, something is hot, but not, yeah, it just doesn't work. And I'll show you with hot in just a second too. So the verb changes. But this is a great example of how in Potawatomi, a lot of times, you have to be very specific about what you're talking about, and it can change to accommodate that thing, to be very specific. Where in English, we just say cold. We don't care if it's the weather did, if it's the refrigerator, it's just cold. We don't care if the liquid's cold, it's cold. Here, it's like it changes based on what, like if you say, yeah, so this would be like if you're even like inside your house, because it would be Tikide. It's cold inside because the air conditioner caused it, not the actual weather caused it. Unless you open the windows. You open the windows, and you could say, yeah, I'm getting cold in here, because then it's actually the outdoors that caused it to be cold. Let me show you with hot too. Did you get all that?
Yeah.
Pull away from that. So with hot, I'm gonna change to red. Chatte, chatte get. Same thing. It's hot. Now, with this one, this ate part indicates that the sun is causing this. So if I said like zamate, be unbearably hot by the sun causing it. Zamate, the ate. Bate means it dried up. If I say bate showman, any idea what that might be?
Right?
What's a dried up grape?
Oh,
prune.
That too.
Is
Raisin.
it the-
Raisin.
Oh,
I
raisin.
think of. I can't spell raisin today, but raisin, something like
Bate
that.
is dried up.
Yeah, raisin or prune. Yeah, prune comes from a
A plum. huh?
plum. So you can see a dried up plum. Excuse me.
How do I say bubble?
Sorry, can you read the word for raisin? It's in a glare.
Okay.
Bate and then showman, SHOMEN. Maybe I turn a little bit. Maybe that help at all? I can't tell if the glare is still. Is that a little better?
It just moved it to the other side of the board.
Oh, the glare's over here now? Okay. How about I write it over here? I'll try that. Oh, now it's changing. Any better? Big edgy? Maybe move this back a little bit.
No. That's
Still
okay.
bad?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, where it's at right now is actually pretty good because most of the time you haven't been writing in that one spot.
Okay.
Just, yeah,
Unfortunately, I did it.
we would be fine without the lights,
Here
like
we go.
right over us, I think.
This one. Y'all
Right,
see
yeah.
that?
Oh, that's awesome.
See, yeah, I figured that would work.
Is that better for you?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
works.
Okay, good. I think they can still see too, because we got light over on this side, so it's good for all, hopefully. If not, I'm sorry. I tried. I did the best I could. So, I wasn't done with what I was saying here. So then to say it's hot, you say gajide or gajidam get.
Well, that's cool because that's pretty close.
It is close, gajide, gajate. But then if you said like they're hot, gajide, no. But this ate part is talking about like the sun is causing it. So it's heat caused from the sun. So if you're talking about like your stove, your kajapkezgin, you would say kajidam get it's hot. So nasana. Cause you damn get it's hot. Careful. It's hot. Cause you damn known need guava gas and those cups, they're hot. Cause you damn known the coffee guava gas and those coffee cups are hot. Cause you damn known they are hot. Wow, I'm just blind. Yes, sir. Questions are always okay. Please go ahead.
The gajete and get, which one is that?
But that is, it's hot, I'm sorry.
It's hot.
Yeah.
And then, so just gajete by itself is just hot.
With the sun,
What's causing?
it's causing it, so it's gotta be a weather related. Yeah, so gajate, if you're like outside and it's hot, it's gajate. If you're in your house and you got the heat cranked up, it's gajite. Or if maybe the stove's hot, it's gajite. Or these cups are hot, gajite. Yeah. So basically, gajate is weather related. So like it works like if you're talking about like let's say you go out to your car and you come out there, man, it's hot out there because the sun's coming through. That would work for that. You know, but if you're cranking the heat in that car,
And it's
no,
gajete.
that's gajite.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah.
And that would be like the difference with animate and inanimate, right? Like as far as sun, or is that?
No, not
really?
exactly. It's maybe just a difference in specifics, I guess, is what I'd say. Because like with Potawatomi, a lot of times things are much more specific than they are sometimes in English. Like I was saying, if we said hot in English, it could be anything. It could be hot. In fact, in English, it's even more. Could be. I mean, it could be.
Just for anything.
It could be the stove's hot. It could be the weather's hot. It could be somebody who looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, hot with English could be like.
It's contextual.
Yeah, it's very contextual. But with Potawatomi, that you're getting more specific about the heat itself with gajate and get. And again, the reason a lot of times we'll teach gajate down the daycare is just because some people, they get easily offended by things. And I just try, and because they both equal the same thing and neither is wrong or right, you can say gajate or gajate and get. You know, some people, they hear gajate and get and they immediately hear like damn get, like they're cussing or something. Now myself, I usually use gajate and get because I just like to be that way. That's the word I like. I just like gajate and get. But
Was that a cuss word? Like gajate and get? Or wait, is that?
it sounds like a cuss word. is the point I'm
Okay.
trying to make.
Gotcha.
Is it sounds like damn get or something.
Ah, gotcha.
So that's why we teach gajate in the daycare, but they mean the same thing. It's like gonna bitch. Gonna bitch is maybe or perhaps. It sounds like something else in English.
Ah,
You know, gonna
so
bitch.
people shy away from it. Gotcha.
Some people do. Some people shy Jordan. Some people like to probably. Like I said, there was a time I was in the grocery store. I've told this story 100 times. So probably these people on here have probably heard it a few times, but I don't think you have. But I went to the grocery store one time with my daughter, Mikaja, who's now, she's just a little kid back then, but she wants some candy or something. I was at Walmart, and I was like, I told her, maybe I'll buy that candy for you. When I said it, everybody like Walmart, like, because I said, gonna bitch, Namiki Spenadoni, Washington. So they heard gonna bitch, and they thought I was calling my daughter, like, this dude's, what? This guy
Social
is saying this
services,
kid,
yeah.
because she's just a little kid, you know, it's like 5 or 6 years old. They're like, they're all trying to get up my business, and like, and then they hear me keep talking. They're like, oh, this guy's not talking English, whatever. But you could see, like, did he just say
Since
that?
they
Yeah.
heard
So, but
Sorry.
go ahead. But it's funny like that sometimes. You know, you use your language in different situations. Also, using your language at the airport will get you randomly searched at the checkout line. That's another thing. I've had that happen. I've been randomly pulled out of line and checked my luggage. Me and the two people that were traveling with me, because we were all sitting there talking Potawatomi back and forth.
dang, that's profile.
That's definitely profiling.
TSA.
Yeah. But I think what it is I think it scares people when they hear a language that they don't recognize. And they're like, okay, what's going on? You know, they like freaks people out. I mean, I'm the same way about like, I like to try to figure things out when I'm like at an airport. I don't have a problem with it. You can talk your language all day long from me. It doesn't even bother me, you know, because I know the feeling, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make. Is once you've done it in front of other people and you get the people kind of giving that, you can tell people are uneasy by it, then you understand how it is when somebody else tries to speak their language. You're like, that's their language, whatever. I don't immediately assume like, oh, they're talking about me or something. Like a lot of people have very closed minds. They think, oh, they're talking about me if they're talking about me. No, probably not. You're not that important. But anyway,
How do you say bubble?
oh yeah, you're back to that. I want to say it's like,
Because
I wanna say it's
Mokjoen
like-
is a bubbling spring, but like.
that's not
Mok-
what that means though, really, literally.
Mm,
We say it means bubbling spring, which it kind of does, but the mok part really means emerging.
Okay,
Water is kind of emerging out.
got it.
Yeah, it's bubbling up, but it's emerging. Like we say, like mokseo Jesus, sun emerged. So, mok emerged. Mokseo Jesus, the sun emerged or came out. But bubble is like, it's kind of like pesquage. I want to say it's kind of like bubble. It's almost like balloon. That same kind of like.
Kashkwaji.
I think it's very similar, which is also the word for
Because my teachers are
balloon.
asking.
Do what?
My teachers are asking because they're always like, catch your bubble.
Yeah, I
So
think
they
it's
go quiet.
pesquage.
Kashkwaji.
I think it's the same as balloon and same as there's one of these. It's like
It's like you're inflated, like in
it's something in your stomach too. It's one of those organs too. I don't think.
gallbladder.
So
Nah, it's not gallbladder. It's a spleen, maybe. I don't know.
Mm,
Let me
I don't know.
let me cheat real quick and let me look at my own dictionary here. I'll tell you which one it is.
so
So, I mean, nobody remembers everything all the time. So I'm as fallible as anybody else. So. Never hurts to
Fallible.
fallible. I guess it's never hurts to check yourself out. To check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Ice cube.
Sorry, say it again.
Ice cube.
Ice cube. Yeah. But dekyak is ice cream. It's that cold
Dekyak.
thing. Dekyak. But it's related to this deck. You know. Yeah. It's and then it changes like dekyak. See if I got both.
So Mokseo is rising water or
Mokjoen is like bubbling spring. I'm sorry, I didn't write all that. Mokjoen is bubbling spring, but it's literally spring. It's water coming out or emerging. That's Mokjoen. And then the mok is the part that talks about coming out. If you say mokseo Jesus, it's like the sun comes out. Mokashke, oh sucksy, that deer just kind of emerged. Another word you can use. Shit,
Careful.
shoot. Watch. I broke the table over here.
Oh shit.
Well, skin. Maybe I shouldn't sit on this table anymore.
anymore.
What? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I just can't help myself. We'll just see what happens. Live on the edge. I didn't want to bring it up on my thing, but I'll do it.
Sorry. So if Moke is emerging, which Mokek is the direction?
Where it emerges from. Yep.
Okay.
Or where it comes up. So you're saying this direction where it's emerging from, coming up, talking about the sun. Yeah, that's what Wech Mokek literally means. Yeah, that's good. Uh-huh. And then Wech Bokej Mok will be the direction where it drops down or disappears. Sunsets, Bokej Mok. That's good. One action. Very good.
you said Dodon was VTI?
Yeah, let me explain that to you real quick, since you haven't been in class with some of these other folks. So there's 4 main types of verbs in Potawatomi. Help me out here, folks. What are the types of verbs?
Animate and trans.
VAI, which is called animate intransitive. What's the next one?
VTI.
VTI, a transitive inanimate. And you don't have to worry too much about the transitive inanimate. If you just remember like this part, VAI, and then there's a VII, and that is an
Inanimate
inanimate
and transitive.
intransitive.
And VTA.
VTA, which is a what?
Transitive animate.
What you guys are smart. Yeah, getting on. Wakawas. Smart. Can't spell today, so hopefully that looks right. Intransitive, intransitive. So, but basically, there's four main types of verbs. Okay. The VAIs are what we spend a lot of time working on. These are the ones that conjugate like namaji, gamaji, maji, namajiman. There's like 7 main types of them, pretty much. And then they're basically like you do something, but it doesn't affect anybody else. It's like I'm writing. You're not saying you're writing on the paper. You're not saying you're writing a letter to her. You're just, I'm writing.
I see.
I'm sitting. You're not saying that you're sitting bags in. I'm eating. I'm just eating. Or what are you eating? But you're not talking about like I'm eating bacon or I'm eating toast or I'm eating.
It's not
It
affecting
changes.
anybody else.
Doesn't affect anybody else. Yeah. Man, some of these dang bots, I feel like. Somewhere in the United States. Here we go. What was Joe?
From the vehicle service center.
Extended warranty.
I was gonna do that. Everyone, I've done it before, and they started calling me speaking Miago Moen, started speaking Spanish to me. And I was like, okay, cool. VII is inanimate transit. Now these are usually adjectives in English, like it's round, it's red, it's smooth, or it's usually it or they. It/they. So like that, Gajide was a VII. It's hot, they're hot. Gajide no. Gajatem get, it's hot, it's a VII. But like things that describe, a lot of times things like I said that are in English are adjectives, like the big round red ball. All of those are verbs. It's round, it's big, it's red, it's bouncy, it's all that. Those are our VIIs. Now these are pretty easy verbs. There's usually only like 2 main forms to them, really. There's like it is, kadewa, it is black. And then you got the kadewa known, they're black, or you got the kadewa get. As an alternative, kadewa get, it's black, same as kadewa, or kadewa known, they're black.
And the it is part is the gal, right? Like in the, or like the is.
The it is just like the verb itself. But this also means it is. So I mean, it's kind of like you can either say kadewa, it is black. I guess technically this part would be maybe the it. You want to get specific. I mean, kade could be attached to like a noun. It could be like kade mo'oe, the black wolf, kadem ko, black bear.
Kadauza?
That's the AI form. So this same verb.
Sorry, I thought that's what.
No, you're okay. Kadauze means he or she is black. So that's the VAI form. But the it's black is mkadewa. Now, with these 2 verbs, you don't really have a. Well, I guess you could. Hold on. You could say. I haven't really thought about it, but you could say like kadeton. Make it black. Maybe blacken something out. Kadeton. Blacken it. Like maybe color black. Or that's literally like blacken it out. I don't know.
Could that be used maybe for like cookies, like to burn something?
You can say jogade if you're talking about burning it. But I mean,
Like, I just meant like.
you
just
probably
as a
could.
random
You
question.
probably could, honestly. You got to realize that oftentimes there's multiple ways to say. It's like cooking. There's a ton of words for cook. Like I cooked it, I baked it, I fried it, and oftentimes there's even a couple different words for these because occasionally you got like a southern and northern word for things. Like, so you got a couple words for cook sometimes. A lot of options sometimes. Like in English though, you don't just say cook, I bake, I cook, I fried it. And then,
Is there a word for pressure cook?
Oh, that's right. You asked me before. I don't know a word for pressure cook. I'm sure if I thought about it, I don't even understand exactly how pressure cook works.
It just cooks with pressure.
How does that
Like
work?
it's compressed. It's
Like, I don't know how it
it's
works.
compressed. It's compressed air, and when you seal it up, it cooks in basically like a vacuum seal type of thing. And it cooks, but you have to like vent it when it's done. And it'll go let out all the steam,
So it's like
and then you
steam
open
cooking.
it.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't understand.
I mean, I don't know the
I
sign.
don't really understand it, but Instant Pots do it very well. But like it used to be used for canning and things too.
For canning. Okay, there's a word for canning. I could think about a word for that. I mean, you got to realize that anything is definitely possible in our language because our language is so descriptive. We just kind of have to figure out what is the optimal way to
What's the
describe something.
functionality of it?
What's the functionality and what's kind of the optimal way to describe it. And sometimes that just comes down to the reason a word exists or not. Sometimes it comes down to whether it's being used a lot, like, or whether it gets to a point where somebody says, let's go ahead and make a terminology for this. Like, for example, I mean, we could make something for Walmart. Like, this is how we call Walmart because a lot of people go to Walmart or a lot of people go to McDonald's. And we could come up with, like, we say, like the golden, sometimes I'll joke around with like the 2 golden arches or something. But you could come up with something that would be specific for that. Same with steam cooking. I mean, it would just be something that if it's something you do a lot of, I mean, I'll think about it. I might have to watch a video to see how it exactly works. I don't understand it. So completely, I get that it's kind of self-contained. And then does rice operate like that too? Like those little rice cooker machines?
I think
Yes,
so, yeah.
it's very similar.
Rice
Well, some rice cookers, yes, because I cook my rice in the Instant Pot, so that's how I know. how to
Yeah,
cook it.
I'd have to think about it a little bit. I'm sure we could come up with a way to talk about it though. I mean, it's just, like I said, our language is extremely descriptive and it's just a matter of thinking about how it actually operates and coming up with a good way of talking about it pretty much.
I saw a word on Instagram that's like being posted and shared on Instagram, and it says it's a Potawatomi word. I haven't seen it yet, but it's talking about the way that mushrooms emerge from the earth, and it said papausi, I think, or something.
Papawe.
Papawe.
That that comes from Robin Kimmer's book.
Really?
Yeah. It comes from Robin Kimmer's book on
That's probably why it's trending. I've seen it on
yeah,
Instagram in a couple
because her book's like on the national bestsellers list. That's also why the Woolaroo people called me because I was the little paragraph
Got
of me. in
it.
there.
What
Yeah.
is it now? What's it mean?
The
It's,
way it's something about the way that they kind of pop up or explode up or something like that. It's like
But
it's talking about mushrooms.
how do you say it again?
I think it's like pole way or something like that.
Because the way it's
Or
spelled,
something.
I'll find it as soon as I look up
Popaway or-
Potawatomi
maybe it's
on
Popaway
Instagram.
or something like.
really?
Yeah, I saw it. It's not like
Popaway.
trending, but I've seen it a couple times now.
She's talked about that inside of her book. It's a word that she talked with Stuart King about, like talking about the actual
Papawi.
Papawi, is that what it is?
Yeah, the life force that causes mushrooms to push up from the earth overnight to emergence to rise.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I wonder where that came from.
Stuart King.
That says
I
wild
need to
forest,
see by myself.
wild forest folk. It says is where it comes from.
Where? Wild Forest.
Oh no, this is just some random schmuck one that stole credit for it.
I
Just
guarantee
kidding.
you. I know where it came from because I've seen her talk. Because I've had other people ask me about that word actually, and
Right.
I realized where it came from. It's comes from that
Papawi.
book. How'd they spell it? Pa.
But that's the thing, they spelled it not how we would spell it. So I'm like, I don't know where this comes from. Puhpowee.
Oh, okay.
It would be WI.
Papawi, like someone, like someone sounded it out.
It's almost like Bob is almost like to
Yeah, like a phonetic.
it's like ba is like to go about, like ba or bob to like kind of like to go about, and then we, so it's like it's going about doing what it's doing. Almost is the way I understand that.
Interesting, right?
Bob we, because the we is like it's like if you said like Makol we, he or she is like a bear,
Right.
something like that. That we is kind of comes from like the Yahweh or Yahweh.
Mm.
He or she is something. That.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I know where it comes from, but I just like, okay.
It's interesting what catches to the
It's
people.
what catches people's attention is always you're just like, oh, okay, that's what it is. Huh? Not the 7 grandpas, not the words like the mushroom kind of. But it is that time of the year. I was looking for mushrooms with my family this weekend. Some morel mushrooms.
Oh, I can't
It's a good
wait.
time to get them. I found a few, but they were real small, so I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna wait. Maybe I think after this rain today, and I think once it warms up again, I think they'll be nice. And depends where you're at. Some of them may be a little bigger, but I want to get them a little bit Like I found a bunch that were like that big. I'm like, I'm not gonna cut like 20 mushrooms
Right.
to cook one. I'll just wait and come back and make it like that. Hopefully they haven't been cut by somebody else by then, but you risk it sometimes.
And thank you to whoever uses an Instant Pot there, because I really had no way of figuring out how to describe what it does.
Is that Pam?
I think so.
Is that Pam
Or
you-
Lori, maybe. I don't know if that's Lori or Pam.
No, it's Megan.
Megan. Okay.
Oh, Megan.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it's anything is possible. I mean, definitely if something's used enough, there's no reason we can't. I'm
It's
just-
used a lot by young
Okay.
people now.
So
Like
it's-
it's
So it's a very,
common.
it's very common thing today.
Yeah. We have one in there right now.
Do you use one?
What,
Instant
Mushrooms?
Pot.
No,
Mushrooms?
Instant pot. Instant pot.
nah, no.
Or a pressure cooker, I guess. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that.
No,
So. He's like, huh? No, wasn't me. Okay. That's fine. Let's do a few more words here, a few more sentences if we go. That's some funny ones there. I better use the funny ones. Cho nagi nakwenage si gago. We wabman e we giwayan. Kida zagajase a ne o namosh. Kida zagajase a ne o namosh. We wabman e we giwayan. Chongi nakwenage si gago. Chongi nakwenage si gago. We wabman e we giwayan. Kida zagajase a ne o namosh. Any thoughts on these? Even if you recognize part of the verb, you recognize anything you recognize it. It's fun. Throw it out there.
I didn't do something.
Didn't do something. Correct, because you got your cho and then you got the C that's telling you it's a negative statement. Because whenever we make a negative statement, we have usually our cho and we have our C as part of it. So some kind of negative statement. What'd you say?
The bottom one, is it, did you take, or can you take the dog outside?
Yeah, could you take the dog outside? Yeah. Could you take the dog outside? So here you know it's a question. Could you or should you? Could you? Could. The G is telling you it's you. The da means should or could. So could you? Zagajasea is the verb to take somebody outside. This would be a VTA verb. And then that's mosh dog. So, Gida zagajase ane or the mosh. Could you take the dog outside? The wee wobman and we giwayin.
You will see when you get back home.
You've got the verbs right. This one's a little confusing because it's a VTA, so it's not going to run the same way as another verb. This means I will see you. This is why VTAs are kind of confusing. The G goes out front.
I always think of them as backwards, like, I will see when you get home.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't be you I will see. So it'd be like go eat wabum would be you I will see. I don't know.
Okay,
You know, 'cause that'd be like, they're a little bit confusing. We'll get into them another day. For now, I would just say, just take it as face value. So I will see you. We use this one a lot when you say like, Bamamina Gawabman. I'll see you later. Bamamina Gawabman. But here, I will see you. Gawi Wabman. I will see you and we kiwe when you get home. So I'll see you when you get home. Gawi Wabman and we kiwe. I will see you when you get home. And giwe is the verb to go home. That's the giwe. And then the ewi is the future. So same as this week. Gawi Wabman, I will see you when you get home. Ewi giwe. Okay, all we got left now is the top one.
Did it.
So I, it's correct. This is the past. So it didn't happen. So I didn't. Whatever, knock when the gay. And then gaggle. What's gaggle? By itself. By
don't,
itself.
Or something.
Something.
oh, something.
Yeah, it's don't if you're saying like don't do that. Gaggle is candy. But by itself, it's just something. And if it's cho gaggle, it's nothing. But so I guess in this sense, in a way, it almost is like nothing. Something, but because it comes out when you say the whole thing, it kind of comes out as nothing. But something. So I didn't plan anything. Something. I mean, if you said nothing here, it makes it. I didn't plan nothing. I didn't plan anything. Didn't plan something. So I didn't plan anything. I didn't plan something. So if somebody said, "Hey, what are you doing this evening?" I don't have any plans. Chungi nakwinage si gago. I didn't plan something. So nakwinage is to plan. I didn't plan something out. So I don't have any plans. Chungi nakwinage si gago. I don't have any plans. I didn't plan anything out. Chungi nakwinage si gago. So we wabman and we giweyin. Kada zag just say ane or the bush. Fun ones there. But the thing I want you all to really pay attention with these is we want to look at the parts that we do recognize. You're always going to have verbs that are popping in that you're like, I don't recognize a verb. I've never heard that verb. What's the word for bubble? You know, whatever. You're always going to have those ones pop in from time to time. You're like, what is that word? The key is to just if you work the process and you understand how things conjugate and basically picking apart the stuff you do recognize, the rest will start to make more sense. We'll do a couple more, then we're going to do a little quick review of some of our important things, if you will. Not that everything's not.
I was like, it's all important.
Not that everything's not important, but. This
Ready?
word I made really long.
Does
And
it work with those?
this one I went like,
For what?
Bubbles.
Bubble?
Yeah.
Pasquaji.
Pesquaji, I think is what I was thinking it was. But
Pesquaji.
let me double check that word. I couldn't get to bring up a deal. So there might be a better way to say that. I mean, and it kind of depends too. We're talking about air bubble. Because air bubbles.
Yes. Well, it's like, catch your bubbles.
Air is like nesse one's like air. So
But you could probably do something with just be quiet with that, you know?
that's true. You can think about what is the end result? Like, what are you trying to make them do? Like, don't come.
Right.
Because
Well-
sometimes you think that sometimes in English we do a lot of like it's raining cats and dogs. You know,
Right,
where
right.
we do a lot of those like things that don't mean what they mean.
Right.
That's why it drives people that learn English crazy. Like they're like, what? There's dogs and cats falling outside, for God's sake, get indoors, you know, like, I mean, and you know, we could obviously literally say there's dogs and cats falling out of the sky, but that would be like, what? But yeah, English, we do that a lot with English when we're talking. We say one thing, but we mean something completely different. And
I think she means it pretty literally, like
bubbles,
bubble,
like
catch an
catch it.
air bubble,
catch your bubbles. But,
you know?
medicine, I'll think about it. I'll come up with something for y'all.
we talking like soap bubbles, like you're blowing bubbles and then they're catching them?
No, it's like a little thing they do in the daycare where they're trying to get the kids to like sit in their spots, right? So it's like
Mhm.
catch your
Well,
bubble.
for
So it's
them
almost
to be
like sitting.
quiet.
Oh, it's be quiet.
Yeah, so because it keeps them from speaking.
Like-
Catch a bubble.
Yeah, it's just a little, after school kind of daycare type of thing they like to do. Yeah. Git cousin Beshot Squadama. What do we got there?
Near.
You're close. 5.
Is cousin in shoes?
Yeah,
Your shoes.
that would be a good thought.
Oh.
This is actually a verb though. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad thought. I mean, if it was good cousin, it would be your shoes. Git cousin.
Is it
Beshot Squadama. What?
Is it take off your shoes? Or
Take off your shoes.
Yeah. Take off your shoes before.
At the door.
By the door. Yep. Squadim is door, so like at the door. By the door. And then Beshot is kind of like close or near. So, Git cousin Beshot Squadim. So take off your shoes close by the door, basically. Over there by the door. I could have said Eva Squadim too, over there by the door. But Beshot's close by the door. Squadamuk. Squadam is door, Squadamuk like at the door or by the door. Git cousin Beshot Squadamuk. And actually, I probably could even just say that. Git cousin Squadamuk. Take off your shoes by the door. Not the Beshot. I just felt like putting Beshot in.
And then what was the, oh, there's not another word.
Nah, there's 3 of them. There's 3, but I could just said, again, I could just said Git cousin Squadamuk just as easily. Or I even could have said Git cousin and Eva over there. Squadamuk. Okay. Let's do a couple more and we're gonna do some kind of review stuff here. Gedwebnen I Koman, Nizan. This probably isn't the best thing to say, actually, when you think about it. Gedwebnen I Koman, Nizan.
Jeez.
Come on's not.
Hey, come on, it's nice. Gedwebnen.
That nice.
What's Bagedgen? What's Bagedgen?
Hammer down.
Hammer.
To throw down.
Bagedwebnen,
To
so
put down.
toss it down, like toss it down. Like this. Bagedwebnen, toss it down. Eat koman, nizanik. If that nizanik might be. It's dangerous. Dangerous. But again, like I said, tossing them might not be. Maybe put Tony, put it there. Tony, don't put it. Put that knife on the table. Nizanik instead of Bagedwebnen, just toss it down.
Well, it will be dangerous if you toss it.
Boo! It's now a flying object. Yeah. So this comes from the verb here is nizan it. Means it is dangerous. Nizan ze means he or she is dangerous.
Nizam Zakwa.
So if I said
Oh,
good nizan es, you're dangerous.
wait. Mm.
You
How
can
would
say
you
you can
say-
say nizan ze. What?
Okay, that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was just about to ask that. I like that.
Good nizan es, you're dangerous.
I
This
wanna
would
get that
probably be,
tattooed.
this actually is something that my wife, I think, really believes about me. She always thinks everything I do is a danger, like, she thinks I'm dangerous when I drive. I could be walking. dangerous. She thinks I just don't have any regard for anything, don't pay any attention, whatever.
So
Oh,
Nizanzekwe,
yeah, if you said Nizanzekwe, dangerous woman,
here she is a dangerous woman.
yeah, she's a dangerous woman. Nizanzekwe.
Oh, yeah.
Nasana,
I'm
be
so
careful.
gonna tattoo that.
Nasana, be careful. Nizanzekwe, she's a dangerous woman.
Oh, that's it.
Nizanis, you're dangerous. But then it's dangerous, just like something Nizanit, but it changes to Nizana because it conjunct, because there's multiple verbs in the sentence. Nizanit, it's dangerous. Nizanit ikoman. Boni can, leave it alone. Boni can, leave it alone. Okay, let's do a little. Episode of again.
234.
34, okay. Let's do a little bit of who, what, when, where, and see if we can fill in the blanks there. What is who in Potawatomi? I need you. What is what? Where need you? What is when? Need you P. Where? Need you. I know there's a little bit of delay for those of you online, so y'all may be behind it when it says. What about how or what? What about which? I know what you mean. Okay, what about how much or how many? How many? How much? Okay. And then what am I missing here? What about why? Yeah, Joey. Who, what, when, where, why? I would highly suggest anyone that wants to become proficient in Potawatomi gets these 8 down. Because then when somebody asks you, Wenesia, you immediately know who we're talking about. Who is that one? Then all you have to worry about is it takes one thing to worry about out of the equation. You got the who, what, when, where down backwards. Now you can focus in, okay, what was the verb? Who's the actor? Who's doing the action? Because if you don't recognize the verb, you can at least maybe figure out what the question was, who's involved. Maybe from the context, you're going to be able to pick up, okay, they're trying to talk about clean.
Right.
Or you hear then you can actually focus on the verb, and maybe you hear bean, bean has to do with cleaning, but maybe it's a form of bean you've never seen, like, I don't know, cleaning in a certain way or something, but you recognize bean, and okay, you kind of piece it together that way. But when need you, who, when need you, wek need you, what, need you p, when, need you p, need you, where, need you, how or what, need you which, need jetso, how much or how many, need you why, And if you only have if you're getting started with these and you're not sure where to start with all these, I would definitely consider starting maybe with those. 4 would be good. And maybe this one too, for a 5th one. And then maybe you can kind of ease into the other ones, but definitely those 4 would be a good starting point. But make yourself some little cards if you, I think most of you guys that have been coming on this thing have got them down pretty well. But if you don't, definitely make that a point to get these down. Okay. And then we've got what we call the independent form and the conjunct. These are the 2 main ways that you see our verbs written usually. Okay. In the independent, in the conjunct, all the information is on the back end. That's one way you know it's the conjunct. So for example, if the verb is being shagat, which is the verb to what?
clean.
clean. The bin chige yan would be I do it. Bin chige yin would be you clean. Bin chiget, he or she. What's we but not you?
Him,
That's this form. Bin
they walk.
yak. Bin chige yak. And then all of us clean. Bin chige you go. Then you all clean. Close, yeah. You would be, that's the singular, but yuck is you all. And then they clean. Bin chige what? Yep. So again, what you want to focus in on here is the what, the yuck, the you go. I should change colors. Should have done it already, but too late. T, the yin, the yuck. These ending, because this is how it works with VAI verbs. So you should be able to punch most VAI verbs into this pattern and just run them down. You could say Majiyan, I leave, Majiya, you leave, Maji, he or she leaves, Majiyak, we but not you, Majiya go, we all, Majiyak, you all, Majiwat, they, so they leave. You want to say Jeeptabyan, I sit, Jeeptabyan, you sit, Jeeptabet, he or she sits, Jeeptabyak, Jeeptabigo, Jeeptabyak, Jeeptabwat. You want to say Wisna, Wisnayan, Wisnayan, Wisnit, Wisnayak, Wisnayago, Wisnayak, Wisnawat. Manakwe, Manakwayan, Manakwayan, Manakwet, Manakwayak, Manakwayago, Manakwayak, Manakwayawat, Manakwa verb to drink. Again, you can just punch all these verbs into this little pattern. And if you hear, and another thing is when you hear those who, what, when, where words, a lot of times you're going to be hearing this right behind it. Because you have to use this form when you're asking those more complicated questions, those who questions, those why questions, where, when. It's usually the conjunctive coming right behind it. So you hear Wenija and you're like, okay, now there's going to be a yani and something coming. Bam, what? I don't know what the verb was, but it was what. So something with them. You know? So it's kind of that indicator. The other place you hear the conjunct is if you have multiple verbs in a sentence. A lot of times the second or the third verb will fall into this conjunct. Sometimes it'll just kind of stay in that way after a while. Now, the independent. This is a lot of times when you ask a question in this conjunct, the answer a lot of times is the independent. So if I said like, when are you going to clean? I'm going to clean tomorrow is going to be in the independent. Or I'll do present tense. I'm cleaning right now. What is your be? I'll say right now. The bean chige. I'm cleaning right now. What is your be? Nabin chige. I'm cleaning. Gabin chige. You're cleaning. And what's he or she's cleaning? Bean chige. And then what about we but not you? Bean chige men. What about we all? Bean chige men. What about you all? Bean chige. And they are clean? Bean chige. That's your bean chige. That's good. That was that one that was giving you a lot of problems. That's good. And one that. So with this one, the information about who's doing it, there's some of it is right there. Nothing on this one here. It's this and at the back. This and at the back. This and at the back. And then at the back. That's where the information about who's doing it. So I clean. You clean. He or she cleans. We minus you, my favorite type of cleaning. We all, you all. I sound lazy when I say that, but I think it's funny to say that. I really do clean. They clean. I never clean one. Nabin chige, gabin chige, bean chige, nabin chige men, gabin chige men, gabin chige, bean chige. And that's the independent. So This form over here, we use that a lot of times when we're answering those who, what, when, where questions, just making basic statements. I cleaned, I'm gonna clean, I will clean. We also use this form when we're asking simple questions. Did you clean? Are you gonna clean? Did they clean yesterday? Are you all going to clean tomorrow? Yes, no type questions. The ones that you put your nay with. A lot of times they're independent. You don't use the nay for questions over here. You don't need it. The question is in the when need you, need you, all that wek need you don't need your nay. Your nay is only needed over here on these simple ones. So if I want to say, are you cleaning? Gabin chige nay. And you could say, nabin chige. Yeah, I'm cleaning. Or bin chige nay okwe. Is that woman cleaning? Konage bin chige okwe. Yeah, that woman's clean. Or if you want to say, when is that? Now, if you want to say, when is that woman going to clean? Need you pee wa bin chige okwe. Or that man. You know, need you pee wa bin chige o nene. When is that man going to clean? You know, then you would use this form over here because to get that more information, you have to use the conjunct to get that who, what, when, where, why type question. Those deeper questions, you use this form. For your yes, no type responses, your simple questions, this form. But even when I ask that question, when is that woman going to clean? Need you pee wa bin chiget o kwe? I would answer it over here. We bin chige wa buck. She's going to clean tomorrow. We bin chige wa buck. Or gi bin chige. She cleaned. Just didn't notice. You know, whatever. Story of our lives sometimes. Gi bin chige. She cleaned and didn't notice. So, but this is meat and potatoes. You can get this stuff down, you can really start talking an incredible amount of Potawatomi. Just understand your VAIs because your VTIs operate in a very similar manner. Once you get this down, it's not that much more difficult to understand how they work. The hard one, as we all know, is our VTAs. They're the ones that are a little bit more challenging. And with this particular class, I intend to get to those VTAs pretty soon. So I know some of you have been kind of tweaking around with those VTAs for a while. They're a little bit complicated, mainly because they don't operate the same. Like you see a G at the front, you assume it's you do something, but no, it's not always the case. It could be I did it to you, she did it to you, you know, or he did it to them. You know, it's a little funky like that. It's not as easy a giveaway, I guess. Those. So you got this form. We already talked about. Get all that down here somewhere. Okay. We already talked about the VII verbs. That's our second type. And they're just basically like, we'll go back to that. Geshida. What was Geshida? What was Geshida get? It's hot. It's hot. Then Geshida no? They are hot. That's really all there is to VIs. Is it's like Geshida, Geshida get, Geshida. Now this is independent. It's even easier in the conjunct. The conjunct just goes Geshida. Or like if it's wow yeah yak, which means to be circular, wow yeah yak, it's wow yeah yak. And that's it or they are circular. It's just one. So VIIs are like, there's only like, even with an optional extra one up here, there's only like 3 of them. You know, they're pretty easy to start using. So. And then the next one, which we've talked a little bit about, is our VTIs. And we'll look at those just a second here. But they're pretty much the same as the VAI ones. It's like, just the only thing different with them is they form is a little different, and there's a plural to them. Like there's I see it or I see them. Show you
What is the top one on the right?
that.
Not the conjunct, but the word.
Oh, sorry, I lost my G. There it is, Geshida. Sorry, it's just the conjunct form of Geshida. to be hot. So it's hot or they're hot. I'm sorry, I left my G off. Gives you a deck. So that's the conjunct of that. Wow, yay, ya means it's round, or wow, yay, young get. Wow, yay, yak would be it or they are round. So with the conjunct, all you do is add a K to it, and it's the same for it or them. So like Mkadewa, for example. What's Mkadewa? Black. And so that's it's black, or and Mkadewa known would be they're black. So over here, if we just say Mkade, what do you know? Mkadewa, it or they are black. That's the conjunct side of it. There's just one of them. One that equals two of them. Yeah, it's even easier. That's your VII. That's usually your descriptive type word. It's black, it's smooth, it's round, it's squishy, it's soft, it's anything that's kind of describing a thing. It's hard. The bed's hard, the bed's soft, the bed's sinking, whatever it is, you know. And then you got your VTI verbs. And that would be like Nawab Don. I see it. Nawab Don. You see it. Nawab Don. Nawab Daman. Nawab Dam. Wab, dum, wab. Now with these, they're almost the same as our, if you look at our like Namaji, Namaji, Namaji man. Namaji man. That's really sloppy. I'm trying to do it fast. And then Maji. Namaji, Gamaji, Maji, Namaji, Man, Gamaji, Man, Gamaji, Maji. I'm leaving, you're leaving, he or she's leaving, we're leaving. They're very similar. The difference with these is I see it. You say I see them, you add an E into it. So Nawab Don is I see it. Nawab Don in, I see them. Gawab Don, you see it. Gawab Don in, you see them. Wab Don, he or she sees it. Wab Don in, he or she sees them. Now these ones are it or them. So the wabdamen is we, but not you, see it or them. Gawabdamen, we all see it or them. Gawabdam, you all see it or them. The one that's real different is down here. Wabdana wa means they see it, and then wabdana wan, they see them. So this one at the bottom is a little bit different. But the rest of them really are basically like the same pattern that you're used to. The Namaji, Gamaji, Maji, Majiman, Gamajiman, Gamaji, Majik. Very similar. And then the conjunct side of these, they're a little different. You got like ones that end in dom, it's like Wabdaman, Wabdamen, Wabduk. Oh. And Wabdum what? So Wabdaman, I see it. Wabdaman, you see it. Wabduk, he or she sees it. Wabdamak, Wabdamgo, Wabdamuk, Wabdamwat. That's your conjunct side of it. So it's pretty. Now the easier ones are the ones that end in don't or tone, because they just drop the in off and you just put the yan, yin, whatever. Same as the like maji yan, maji. Just drop your in, put your y, your yan, your yin, your t, your yak, your go, your yuk, and your wat. But understanding these different verbal patterns, because our language is so verb heavy, this is the meat and potatoes of understanding Potawatomi. this, and the only other thing I would say is if you can really get your demonstratives down, you can start saying, and then it's just adding vocabulary. It's adding nouns, it's adding verbs, bam, you're good to go. So, and that's probably about good for a day. So, miigwech. Yep, that's it.
Miigwech, Justin, miigwech.
Hopefully some of that made sense. Hopefully some of that stuff that you guys maybe have heard before. Maybe, hopefully. And if not, it's something new for today. Hey, what do you know? We'll talk about it another day again. But yeah, you get these things down. And once you guys have all that and you got it wrapped in where you can just rattle them off like this, then it's time to jump into VTAs. If you got all these patterns down and you know them backwards, forwards, you can just ramble them off like, oh, Wakanesia Nedwindeman. What do you want? You know, Nipija Etoyen E Biwa, of course. And where'd you put my phone? Once you know these patterns and you can just ramble them off like that, then it's time to jump into your VTAs. And, they're a lot of fun too. They're a little more complicated, but they're a lot of fun. So, and that is it for today. Miigwech. I'm gonna do a little drumming here in a little bit. So, Bama Amina.
Mamamina.
Mamamina.
Oh.